On the last episode, you saw us lower this on the factory coils as well as add in the 20mm spacers. It did definitely improve the looks, but after seeing it, I think it needs to come down just a little bit more. So the only way to drop it more is to do a spring. So this is the ones I chose. These are Eibach. Eibach's one of the bigger spring manufacturers there is, and in my opinion, one of the best manufacturers. Well, these drop the car 1 inch with no adjustment from the coilovers. The coilovers, adjusting those alone, drop it 3/4 of an inch. So this should be perfect. If we put the adjusters back to the factory position, put these on, that should be the height we're looking for. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'll give you a quick how-to. You got to take the plastic covers off. There's 3 covers. There's a small one right here, then a large one across the front. That gives us access to the tops of the shocks. It's going to be the same in the back. However, the back is exposed. It's around the engine compartment. Take it for a quick drive, settle the suspension, then get a measurement so we can compare it to the last time we lowered it. So the back to me looks perfect. The front is just a smidge low, maybe 1/4 of an inch. I might be splitting hairs here, but it's definitely lower in the front than the back. 1/4 of an inch lower in the front, which is pretty accurate. The fact that we're going to do carbon fiber on this car, we got a front lip and side skirts. I'm thinking for a bit more clearance, we should raise the front. So now we have a lot more adjustability with the lowering spring, so I think doing this over again, this would be the way to go, is to put the springs on it. Then if the height is not correct or the way you want it, you've got adjustability. So basically the same technique as before. We're going to remove that plastic collar, drop that collar down, break those 2 rings loose, and make the measurement and adjust it. That's the beauty of having that adjustability. The coilovers can infinitely adjust it. Even with these lowering springs, the amount of thread left on the collars, you could go up 1 inch from here. So you could pretty much go back to the stock height if intended. But if you're like me and you're right about this height and you want it absolutely perfect, you want it perfect front to back, you don't want it looking crooked, this gives you the ability to do that. Yeah, that's money. That's exactly what it needed right there. A little over 500 miles on it, exactly factory, so I have a good feeling of how it would ride and handle with the factory springs. And also, this complex I've worked in for over 20 years. By habit, I always take this on a 45-degree angle. I've driven almost every car I can name through this area and gone up and down this bump here. I mean, right from Corvettes to NSXs, McLarens, lowered Hondas, I mean, you name it. So I get an idea of what will fit and what won't, what scrapes, because it's important to have a car that you can live with. It doesn't want to be, you know, parking lot low, car show low. I don't mean to coin that term, but it's like a car that doesn't actually do anything. It just looks pretty. It's important it actually drives. A lot of people complain that I ran the stop sign, and I did. Well, sitting over here, you get a good indication if cars are coming, and it's a bad habit. I mean, you can sit here and go, well, there's nothing for a good half mile. I know I've got room to go out. So everyone in this complex kind of rolls through this stop sign, which again, it's a bad habit. I'll address it. I shouldn't do it, but 20 plus years of doing the same thing daily, you just pick up these habits. So this road I've driven on, like I say, over 20 years. I know all the bumps and potholes and, you know, lowered areas and things to avoid, but I don't want to make it where you can't drive it. So we're in touring mode right now, and the springs feel pretty much exactly the same. So if you've ever driven a C8, it's surprising how smooth these cars are in touring mode. It's got to be one of the smoothest sports cars I think I've ever driven. No scraping. There was no scraping going in and out of my driveway. The chassis is so stiff, you'll feel it kind of teeter on two wheels as it goes through there. The only other car I've had do that in that driveway is the Porsche. I'm using the car right now just to go on an errand. I'm going to Home Depot. Talking of habits, I always tend to park in the furthest spot away from everybody. I'm not getting any rubbing, any creaks, any squeaks. That kind of stuff would drive me bonkers, by the way. If you watch any of our channel, you get an idea of our personality. We're not your average import shop that modifies cars and makes them undrivable or turns them into a one-trick pony. I like the car to be, everybody uses the term OEM plus. I like it to be as close to OEM feel as possible. This is the same driveway I showed you coming out, and I've driven some Hondas through here that will scrape all the way through, but coming in on a 45-degree angle like this, I'm not getting any scraping in the corner, not getting any scraping or rubbing on the wheels. So I think this is completely livable. I'm happy with it. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you got some ideas from it, and we'll see you on the next video modifying the C8. If you're new to the channel, consider giving us a subscribe and hit the like. If you're interested in V8 stuff, check out this Colorado. This is my personal daily. Built this about a year and a half ago. It's got a V8 2020 Silverado motor in. Check that out. Click on the playlist. There's more to see. Corsa exhaust, this is going on next. I've got to give it an unbiased review, show you what it's like, do a side-by-side comparison, weight-wise, looks-wise, sound-wise. We're even going to put it on the dyno and do a before and after dyno test. See if it actually makes power. But if you are a fan of the C8 car, you're going to probably agree with me. The exhaust tips are probably the worst thing on the car, and it really needs a bit more sound, so stay tuned for that.